Hello everyone and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're going to be going to pick up our next project for 2026 and maybe beyond, depending on how far this goes. I know what you're probably thinking. This is not a Fast and Furious project. This isn't going to be a replica. This is something completely different. An era of cars that I've loved, essentially. I've been presented with an opportunity to restore an era of cars that I've loved for many, many years, and particularly this one. So without further ado, let's go and get the car and show you guys what the next project is for the year. Again, it's something a little bit different. Hopefully bring in some new audience members as well who aren't just Fast and Furious fans. But yeah, let's head off and grab it now. Guys, we are here. Let's go check out this project car. Right guys, we are here to see the next project. The only clue I'm going to give you before reveal is that it's a 90s hatchback, and it's a really cool 90s hatchback. Probably one of my favorite driving by, as you know, I was out and about as a kid, but this one particularly just looks the part, but again is a project, needs a little bit of love for many reasons which we'll get into. But without further ado, let me reveal to you the other 2026 project this year. So there we are, the car is revealed. Now I suppose I better talk about exactly what this is and exactly what the plan is. So this is a 1995 Ford Fiesta Si. There were only two versions of these made between 1994 and 1995. This, of course, as I said, is the 95 version. It's got the 1.6 litre engine. These were only made in two different engine variants, which is the 1.4 and the 1.6, so nice to have a little bit more power out of it. But as you can tell, it's not the most stock Fiesta Si from that era. As you can probably tell, this has the era of the RS Turbo Fiesta body kit. It looks absolutely insane on this, which is why I love it. It kind of refers back to that max power era in the 90s and the early 2000s, and of course, the hot hatch scene itself. You can see that it's got DTM wing mirrors as well, so really adding to that slightly modified element, but again, that era element of cars back then. It's got the Cosy front splitter, Cosy style front splitter rather, should I say, just to give it that extra aggression at the front. Nice little fog light indentation as well in there, just to add an extra element to the front end. And here we move over to the wheels. Now these are actually Mondeo SI wheels. They're 16-inch. A lot of people think that these are actually the Escort wheels. The Escort wheels were a little bit wider, but again, it does add some prominence to this car compared to its stock variant. Obviously got some lovely side skirts going across there. It's just an absolutely gorgeous looking car in my opinion. It's got great body lines and just looks incredible. And as you can probably tell as well, it's sitting a little bit lower than it probably should for stock. It's on H&R coilovers just to give it that extra driving experience and sit a lot lower and give it that aesthetic look essentially. And as we move around to the back, we've got this gorgeous little, kind of like a wingback PI spoiler. I think that's, you know, a really cool, almost like a little fin, just to add some extra aggression to the back. And then as we move down, obviously continuing with the RS Turbo body kit, and a Magnex stainless steel exhaust. As we move into the interior, we can see it needs a little bit of love in the cleaning department, but that's because it has been sitting in a barn. That's not an issue. We're going to be going to Auto Glim HQ in the next video to paint rectify this car and of course go through the interior. But pretty minimalistic, but again, really simple, but really effective. One thing I do like about this is these Cobra bucket seats. Again, just adds a little bit of comfort, and I suppose that hot hatch element, because we all know about those B roads and going around them in these type of cars. Amazing looking interior. And I suppose you're probably thinking this is going to be an absolutely high mileage car. It's not. Just look at that, 76,926 miles. This car is now 31 years old. So to have that sort of mileage is absolutely ridiculous. Again, continuing with the interior, pretty minimalistic as you'd expect for this era. But of course, we've got the upgraded radio system to allow aux cord. And a nice little touch is this Richbrook gear knob, as well as Lockwood dials, as we've mentioned before, with the mileage on screen. And a nice little addition that the previous owners made is just to add in some blue lights into this interior, just to make it feel a little bit more modern and probably a better driving experience at night. This is also the sunroof model, so those summer drives and those summer nights are going to be absolutely amazing in the nice weather when it comes. But as you can see, in particular British fashion, it is chucking it down with rain. One thing you might notice compared to the stock SIs of this era is that the pillars and all the interior roofing and everything like that is actually black. The previous owner had these done just to make it look, again, similar to the inside as it does to the outside. So will help for this sort of recommissioning of this car. But one thing that has remained stock throughout the ownership of this vehicle is these back seats. Now, I'm only just stepping into the world of sort of restoration and recommissioning. So, you know, I didn't want to go full on a Matt Armstrong style, flood damaged, whatever car or crash damaged car. I wanted to see if I could find something that was going to be not only fun and something I'd love to bring back to life for, you know, an era of car that I love, but secondly, just an opportunity to, you know, get stuck into recommissioning and restoring things and essentially bringing them back to life with adding my own few personal touches alongside some of my friends, including Anthony in the back there. So yeah, essentially that's what this car is going to be. So I know you're probably thinking, Lucian, from all of those clips, it doesn't look like there's actually too much wrong, but that's because most of it that is wrong or does need addressing specifically for a restoration perspective is on the underside. So underneath this, specifically for the seals, the rear bumper or the rear valance and the front valance, as well as, you know, here you can just see some light cracking. That's going to be where most of the main stuff is at this particular time. There's some underside rust that we need to attend to, and essentially after all is done and all repaired, will be coated with some sort of underside protection such as Lanagard or something else, just to give it you know, future preservation essentially, and all of the hard work that we've done or had done, you know, be protected moving forward. With the front bumper, it might be still hard to see in the rain here, but that's only going to need some light repair. There's obviously, you can see in here some cracking and some stuff down there, so we can sort that out. But I suppose we're still unaware of exactly what's behind this front bumper in terms of the valance and if that's rusted or anything like that, because we do know that the rear valance is as well. So, and again, as I said, the seals underneath here, they need some work to get correct as well. But yeah, back here we know of some sort of rust damage that needs to be attended to. The car is safe to drive, it's passed its MOT, no problem necessarily, but I suppose from an enthusiast perspective, or if we look to move this car on afterwards, you know, we want to make sure that it's protected and safe completely for potentially the next owner, if that's the route we get to go down. Otherwise, it might be a case of, look, we do all this and we do our own things with it and add our own things to make it a bit more personal and keep it and take it to shows and so on and so forth. What we're going to be doing in the interior is actually looking to reupholster this whole door card as well as on the opposite side. And that's because obviously it does look like it did back in 1995. And again, these nice addition of the Cobra bucket seats add a little bit more flavour to this interior. So it'd be nice to bring them on the same journey and get them into the same sort of level and, you know, sort of representation of the car from the interior perspective. The steering wheel is also still stock, so we want to make sure that we bring something like a Sparco or a Momo or something from back in that era into this car from a steering wheel perspective. Still keep this and still maintain it, keep it away, but definitely add that kind of hot hatch boy racery style steering wheel to it, because you know these cars didn't have cruise control, they didn't have anything else. So yeah, best to maybe change that just to give it again a little bit more flavor on the interior. And the rear seats, we're either considering maybe doing an actual rear seat delete or simply just putting some covers over. There's no plans necessarily to transport people in this car, so could give us an idea for maybe like an audio build in the back, or just simply get some seat covers just to make it a little bit more resemblant of the front two seats as well. So yeah, some minor repairs on that just to help it. It's kind of, yeah, just, you know, it served its purpose. You know, the fixings or the glue or whatever necessary is kind of just coming apart a little bit. So again, kind of gives us reason to maybe look at changing it and then, you know, putting it back into its original form. And finally, moving to the 1.6 litre engine bay. As you can see, it's, you know, there's some signs of wear, some early signs of surface rust, obviously, as you'd expect for this era and year of vehicle. Otherwise, from what I'm told, it runs pretty well. There's probably a few areas for, you know, that we can upgrade, just essentially give it a new lease of life, but nothing crazy at all. The main thing is it runs, it drives, and it does it fairly soundly. Again, just a little bit of an update for, you know, certain things like the air filter, you know, maybe fuel filters, basically, yeah, just stuff to keep it running smoothly. And I know what you guys are going to ask me. We haven't really touched on the wheels too much yet, because I actually quite like them. But I think also there is a part of me that's saying maybe these could do with some changing and some little bit of updating for, you know, sort of the current era of cars and maybe the car scene. You can probably tell that the brake calipers need, you know, sort of reconditioning, repainting, so that's not an issue. You know, upgrading the brakes maybe just to something a bit newer. Definitely been all consideration, so we will look at that as well. But yeah, otherwise, apart from that, inside there, you know, we're going to be looking at, you know, maybe doing some upgraded suspension, sort of poly bushes and stuff like that, just to give the driving experience a little bit of a better feel. But other than that, from a suspension, from a mechanical, from an engine point of view, from everything like that, this car still is in a pretty decent condition, but it needs that kind of wheeler dealers style of recommissioning and bringing back to life. So that is the car, and without further ado, let's take it for a test drive, because I know what all of you are thinking. How does it drive? What's the experience? What do I think to the experience? And again, how are we going to be improving on it based on some of the things that I've mentioned in terms of the driving experience as we move forward? So without further ado, let's jump in the car and get going. Okay, so we've just filled up with fuel and we're heading home for the very first test drive of this Fiesta. Again, as far as I know, this has ran always really good. Again, with only a couple of mechanical upgrades to do, so yeah, sounds really nice. Yeah, the Magnex exhaust on this is nice and subtle. Hopefully there's not too much noise that you guys can still hear. But yeah, it feels good. Like, alignment's obviously there still, so you know the previous owner's done really well with this. Yeah, feels safe, feels secure. Like, yeah, good response to the steering. Yeah, can't complain at all. Obviously it's raining, so I won't be doing any, you know, B-road bashing quite completely in this. So yeah, got to be safe, and obviously, you know, got to be legal. As you might see from the sunroof, it is absolutely chucking it down. But yeah, no, I love this car so much. Like, it's got so much presence. You don't see any of these anymore, even like, you know, the official sort of Ford Fiesta RS Turbo from this sort of generation. So yeah, I think even in our typical British weather in February, it's still a nice thing to see on the road, really. And again, I suppose from a recommissioning perspective, hide some of those imperfections that we're going to be working on. But yeah, no, it feels pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Really excited to do this build. I hope you guys are too. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think to this recommissioning / restoration project. Let me know what you think of the car. Hopefully there's some Ford fans in here. I know most of you will probably be JDM guys or Fast and Furious guys, so yeah, let me know. Let me know any ideas that you guys have got, what you think I should maybe consider doing. Yeah, I'm all here for it, so let me know in the comments below. Okay, we're now picking it up onto a slip road. Let's give it a little bit of belly. It's a bit wet, so we can't get the full. Hopefully you can hear it. It makes noise, but that concludes the video. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think to the Fiesta. I'll give you an update on obviously everything that's happening as and when it does. Obviously the next video we're going to be at the Autoglim HQ as mentioned, hopefully rectifying pretty much most of this paint to hopefully ensure that we don't need to respray too much. But yes, thanks all for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.